Well, today is amazing. I'm very full of joy. God is so good. First thing I want to say is that today is special because Monsignor Hermes is celebrating 46 years of priesthood. In celebration, I'm hoping he takes me out to dinner. That'd be great. So that's the first thing we're joyful over, that 46 years of priesthood. A great example to see, 46 years, as I just got ordained a deacon yesterday. And thank you. You know, I have to say yesterday, the Lord was so good. You know, I just finished my 5th year of seminary, 10 years of college, 1 more year to go of school. I think I could have been a doctor 3 times by now. And yesterday when I went up there, you know, the readings were all about this council came together among the apostles, and they said, we need someone to serve. And so the council came together, the apostles, and they picked 7 men. They found them worthy, and they came forward, and they ordained them deacons of the church, the first holy deacons. And when I was listening to those readings, I thought, wow, that's so cool. 2,000 years ago, the apostles came together, and they made some deacons, ordained them. All of a sudden I thought, whoa, that's happening right now. Like the gospel's coming to life. No longer is it this thing that happened 2,000 years ago with some guy that was born, said he was God, died and rose from the dead and ascended into heaven as we celebrate today. No longer is that in the past, but somehow in that moment yesterday and today at Mass, when we celebrate the Eucharist, time stops. It all comes to one moment, and that's the gospel. The gospel is not some old book that we just read and go, that was nice. Yeah, that's nice, you know. Before Jesus went up, he spoke to his apostles, said, go, preach the good news, and baptize. No, that's our call today. That gospel is living. And so when I got ordained yesterday, I was just praising God and saying, thank you, Jesus. I never thought that saying yes to you could be this good. I would have never guessed, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, back in high school, whatever day you want to pick, middle school, I don't care when you asked, if you would have said, Kyle, do you think giving everything up would make you the happiest you could ever imagine? I would have said, no, giving everything up? That sounds crazy. But that living gospel comes through one man, Jesus Christ. And he gave everything up for us. So I remember when I was discerning, I remember thinking, Lord, if I give you everything, if I leave behind everything I know right now, what I've been studying, the plans I had, if I leave all of that and follow you and do whatever you ask, will I be happy? And I discovered over these last 5 years, and especially yesterday, that saying yes to God is the most joyful thing we can receive. Saying yes to God is beyond belief. It will just blow our minds. And yesterday when I said yes to God in a very tangible way, lay down my life physically on the marble in front of the bishop, promising celibacy, prayer, and obedience, I could never think saying yes would be so good. And I think that's what today is about, Ascension. It's about saying yes to God. Because if you look at that gospel, Jesus asks a question. He never demands, he never forces, he never grabbed the apostles and said, you better preach this gospel. Okay, I don't know if you realize what I did. Okay, I came here, right? I'm God. I was in heaven, I came here and died for all of you. And if you guys don't preach the gospel, I'm going to be pretty angry. because if you don't do it, I'm going to smite you. No, God would never say that. He only invites us. He invites us and promises us. And when we accept that invitation, because that's what love is, it's a question. Love is never force. Ever, it's only an invitation. If we accept that and we say yes, amazing things will happen. It says that these people, these believers, not just the apostles, but anyone baptized, they will drive out demons. They will speak new languages. They will pick up serpents in their hands. If they drink any deadly thing, it will not harm them. They will lay hands on the sick, and they will recover. Because that yes about today is a yes to looking to heaven. To looking to heaven. As Jesus is ascending, these two guys show up in white clothes. They say, "Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking to heaven?" It's because the gospel message is that this earth is not the end. Your suffering is not the end. Because so often we can just look at our lives, we can look at ourselves, and all we can see is pain and suffering. And as soon as I say the word suffering, 1, 2, 3, 20 ideas pop in your head. Whether it's a sickness you have, or a family member has, someone's in the hospital, whether you lost a parent, a grandparent, a child, whether you're out of work, whether you have a struggling marriage, whether you don't know how to teach your kids the faith, or you want to inspire them but you don't know how to, whatever that suffering is, God says, look to heaven. Look to heaven and bring that gospel message to earth. Because that yes is to live not in an earthly reality, but in a heavenly reality. And so when we look to heaven, amazing things happen. Because what we need to realize is that first, heaven is not necessarily just a place. Right? What Pope Benedict actually says is that heaven is not so much a place, but a person. And that person is Jesus Christ. And I was meditating over this idea that like heaven is a person. I thought, what does that mean? And so this imagery came to me of Disney World. Okay, just bear with me here. This might make sense. So you go to Disney World. Everyone loves Disney. You got Mickey Mouse, you got Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck. You got Splash Mountain. You got snow cones. And so you and your family, you hop in the car. I remember I went there with my family. I was 8, 7 or 6, I don't remember. 6, 7, 8, one of those 3. And we all got in the car. We drove 2 days. And so we get to Disney World, and everything's amazing, you know. It's magical. You see fireworks. You eat together, you laugh together, you go on rides. You probably even eat a funnel cake at like 10 o'clock after going on like 3 roller coasters, and you're like, I'm going to be sick, but I'm going to do it anyways, because it's all about the experience. So there's that first thing. And now imagine you go to Disney World, the same place, alone, without your family, and the place is closed. Now you just have this big piece of land with objects, buildings, rides for no one to turn on and off. You can go there, you can go to the stand and ask for a waffle cone. There's no one to give it to you. You can go on Splash Mountain, but you're just going to sit there and wait for someone to come and turn it on. And you're going to realize that, wow, it's not necessarily Disney World that's so amazing. It's these people I'm with. It's these experiences that we share. It's this communion. It's not just me alone standing here being like, hey, I loved my vacation. No, it's we loved our vacations. You ever see old friends and you don't say, hey, I love that time when I did that thing. No, you say, remember that time we did that? And so I think that's what we got to realize, is that when we look to heaven, it's this idea that it's a person. Heaven is a tangible person, a human being. And that person we are going to get to consume today in the Eucharist. Because I know just a couple of months ago, I was very blessed to go to the Holy Land and see the places where Jesus was born, where he died, where he rose from the dead. And before I went, I remember thinking, obviously I believe the gospel. I'm in seminary, right? Obviously I believe it. But I think sometimes we can think it happened on some other planet. Like, yeah, Jesus was a person, God came to earth, but it's somewhere really far off. And then I go there and I'm like, wait a second. In this spot, Jesus was born. In that spot, he raised the dead. In that spot, he died. In that spot, he was put in the tomb, and he rose from the dead. That person is living. He's here today at this altar. When we come to this altar, it's not just bread and wine. That is a person, Jesus Christ. And so when you come to this altar today, realize that your mission today, especially on Ascension, is to receive the Lord Jesus Christ, this person inside of you, and heaven is not some distant thing far away, somewhere up in the sky that we're just looking up to. No, heaven is entering your very body. Heaven is going to be inside of you. You are no longer just a mere person. Jesus was not just a mere person. You get to share in divinity. God enters you. So when you come forward today, I ask you, just pray about that, recognize that. And as you receive it, recognize that love, pure love is entering you, and then say a prayer. Pray that that love becomes so potent in you, so tangible, that you can't even contain it, that you might die at any moment. Recognize that it's not the earthly reality we're supposed to focus on, it's the heavenly one. He ascends so heaven can come here. So heaven and earth can be one. And recognize as you receive that Eucharist, as love tangibly comes inside of you, recognize that all that God wants to do is ask you to follow him. To fill you so much with love that you become this big empty reservoir, like a big dam. And imagine the water overflowing, this love overflowing, and then spilling out everywhere. And then if you are so full of love, that love will just leave you because you can't even contain it, and it will pitter out into your family, to your friends. And even if you continue that imagery of that dam with the water rushing down, you think about maybe that water will hit a bunch of people and soak them. But maybe, like a hot day at Disney World, when you're really hot and you can't take it anymore, you feel like you're suffering, like you're going to die from heat and thirst. You go into that little machine with just a little bit of mist. It just feels nice and gentle, soothing. That explosion of love that is splashing down in that dam and exploding out and drenching some people, even the mist will be tangible to them. Even that mist, that love, that joy will help them see God. Will help them see not the earthly reality, but help them see the heavenly reality.